Have you ever noticed how the quietest hours of the night can suddenly become the most restless? You finally drift off to sleep, only to find yourself waking up again and again with the urge to use the bathroom. For many older adults, this experience, called nocturia, is not just a small inconvenience. It disrupts rest, leaves you drained in the morning, and can even chip away at your sense of peace and independence. And yet, here's something many people don't realize: what you eat during the day has a remarkable impact on what happens during the night. In fact, certain fiber-rich foods can play a powerful role in reducing those nightly wake-ups, giving you the chance to sleep more deeply and live more vibrantly. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today, for simple, natural foods that can help bring your nights back to you. Before we dive in, let me gently remind you to stay with me until the very end, because each food I'll share builds on the next. By the time we're finished, you'll have a clear, easy plan that doesn't require anything fancy or complicated, just small, nourishing adjustments to your daily meals. And if you find this conversation helpful, I'd love for you to share it with someone you care about. Sometimes a single piece of advice can change not just one person's sleep, but an entire family's peace of mind. Now, I want to start with something many people don't talk about openly: the emotional side of nighttime urination. When you're younger, you can shrug off a night of interrupted sleep. But as we get older, each lost hour of rest feels heavier. You might notice you're more irritable during the day, or you don't have the energy to do the things you enjoy. Some people even begin to avoid travel or staying overnight at someone else's home because they're worried about constantly getting up at night. I've spoken with many older adults who quietly carry that embarrassment, feeling like it's something they just have to live with. But here's the truth: you don't have to simply accept it. Nature offers gentle, practical solutions, and one of the most overlooked is fiber. Why fiber? Because fiber doesn't just keep your digestion running smoothly, it affects your entire body in ways that connect directly to nocturia. When your gut is balanced, when your blood sugar is steadier, and when your bladder isn't under unnecessary pressure, your nights naturally become calmer. Think of fiber as a quiet helper, working behind the scenes all day long so your nights can be more restful. It's not a quick fix, but it's a steady, reliable one. Let me share a small story. Not long ago, I met a retired teacher, we'll call her Margaret, who had been struggling with nighttime trips to the bathroom for nearly a decade. She told me she had resigned herself to it, thinking, this is just part of getting old. But when she started focusing on fiber in her meals, not only did her digestion improve, but within a couple of months, she noticed she was sleeping through the night more often. Margaret said to me, with tears in her eyes, "I didn't know how much I missed dreaming." That struck me deeply, because sleep isn't just about resting our bodies, it's also about giving our mind space to heal, to process, and to imagine. Fiber was a small key that helped her unlock that gift again. So, as we begin this journey together, I'd like you to picture this not as a diet or a strict rulebook, but as a gentle invitation. Imagine your meals as small acts of care for yourself. Each bite of wholesome, fiber-rich food is like tucking yourself into bed long before you even touch the pillow. And over time, those choices add up to nights that feel less interrupted, mornings that feel brighter, and days that feel more like your own again. The first fiber-rich food I want to introduce is one that's humble, affordable, and probably already sitting in your kitchen: beans. Yes, simple beans, whether black beans, kidney beans, lentils, or chickpeas, are little treasures for your bladder health. You see, beans are packed not only with soluble fiber, which helps regulate blood sugar, but also with plant-based protein. Together, these nutrients keep your energy steady during the day and reduce the spikes that can stress your kidneys and bladder. Think of it this way: when your blood sugar rises and falls dramatically, it often leads to increased urination. But when it stays steadier, your bladder isn't constantly being triggered. That means fewer trips during the night. Some people shy away from beans because they worry about bloating or gas. That's understandable, especially if you haven't eaten them often. But here's a gentle tip: start small. Even half a cup of beans a few times a week can begin to make a difference. Rinse canned beans well to wash away some of the compounds that cause gas, or cook dried beans slowly with a pinch of cumin or ginger to make them easier on the stomach. Over time, your body will adjust. And what you'll notice isn't just less bathroom disruption, it's also a deeper sense of fullness after meals, which can help with weight management, another important factor in reducing nocturia. I once heard a physician compare beans to nature's slow-release medicine. They don't act dramatically, but with steady use, they can transform your health quietly in the background. And isn't that exactly what we want? Gentle, natural support that doesn't come with a long list of side effects, but simply allows our bodies to function more smoothly. Now, you might be wondering, okay, beans sound good, but how do I actually work them into my meals without getting bored? That's a wonderful question. The beauty of beans is their versatility. You can stir them into soups, add them to salads, blend them into dips like hummus, or even tuck them into a simple stew. Margaret, the retired teacher I mentioned earlier, told me one of her favorite changes was replacing half the meat in her chili with beans. She still enjoyed the flavor she loved, but she got the added benefit of fiber and lighter digestion at night. Think for a moment about what a single bowl of hearty bean soup could mean. It's not just food, it's comfort, it's nourishment, it's a step toward a quieter night. And when you frame your meals that way, eating becomes less about restriction and more about self-kindness. We'll explore the next fiber-rich food shortly, but before we do, let's pause here. Because I want you to really let this sink in. Small, consistent choices can ripple out into big, life-changing differences. Too often, we underestimate the impact of something as ordinary as beans, or we brush aside the idea that food could have such a strong connection to our nightly rest. But every story I've heard, every study I've read, and every personal experience I've gathered tells me the same thing: food is medicine, and fiber is one of its most gentle, reliable forms. So as you finish this first meal of our conversation, I want to invite you to look at your next meal as a fresh opportunity. Maybe tonight it's a warm bowl of lentil soup. Maybe tomorrow it's a colorful salad with chickpeas. Whatever it is, remember that you're not just eating for your body, you're eating for your sleep, your peace, and your tomorrow. And in the days ahead, we'll keep adding to this toolkit together, step by step, until you feel empowered with a plan that truly supports your nights. The second fiber-rich food I want to share with you is oats. Now, I know oats might sound like a plain breakfast food, but don't underestimate them. Oats are one of the most powerful allies for older adults when it comes to both digestion and nighttime comfort. They are rich in soluble fiber, especially a type called beta-glucan, which helps regulate cholesterol, stabilize blood sugar, and gently support the gut. But here's the connection to nocturia. Steady blood sugar throughout the day reduces the tendency for your body to produce excess urine at night. It's like giving your bladder a chance to rest along with you. I remember speaking with a gentleman named Harold, who was in his early 70s. He had struggled with waking up 3 or 4 times every night. After we discussed his meals, he realized most of his breakfasts were heavy in refined foods, white toast, sugary cereals, sometimes even pastries. By swapping those for a warm bowl of oatmeal with a few berries and nuts, he noticed not only that he stayed full longer during the day, but also that he was waking up fewer times at night. He joked with me once, saying, "Who knew my best sleep medicine was sitting in the pantry all these years?" The beauty of oats is that they are simple to prepare, endlessly adaptable, and budget-friendly. You can cook them hot, soak them overnight in milk or yogurt, or even blend them into smoothies. And because they're gentle on the stomach, they work well for people who might struggle with heavier meals. Adding a sprinkle of cinnamon or sliced banana makes them both delicious and nourishing, and each bite becomes another step toward calmer nights. Now, let's take a moment to talk about something important: hydration. You might be thinking, if I drink less water, maybe I'll wake up less at night. It's a tempting thought, but restricting fluids too much can actually backfire. When your body feels deprived, it holds onto fluids more stubbornly, and this can increase the urge to urinate later. The key isn't to drink less, but to drink smarter. Try to get most of your hydration earlier in the day, tapering off in the evening. Pairing fiber-rich foods like oats with steady hydration during the day creates a balance your bladder appreciates at night. Now, the third food may surprise you because it's often overlooked in conversations about fiber: apples. Yes, the simple apple that has been sitting in lunchboxes and fruit bowls for centuries. Apples are rich in both soluble and insoluble fiber, meaning they support digestion in multiple ways. The soluble fiber helps stabilize blood sugar, while the insoluble fiber keeps the bowels regular, preventing constipation. And constipation is more than just uncomfortable, it puts extra pressure on the bladder, which can worsen nocturia. By keeping the digestive tract moving smoothly, apples indirectly free up your bladder to work more comfortably. I think of Eleanor, a vibrant woman in her 60s who loved gardening but was constantly frustrated by her sleep. She told me she never thought something as ordinary as an apple could make a difference. But after making a habit of enjoying one apple in the afternoon, sometimes sliced with peanut butter, sometimes baked with a sprinkle of cinnamon, she noticed she felt lighter, more comfortable, and less likely to be woken by bladder pressure at night. Her words to me were, "It's like I finally made room for sleep." Isn't that beautiful? A simple apple giving her more than flavor, it gave her back her rest. And there's something comforting about apples, isn't there? They're accessible, familiar, and easy to enjoy in countless ways. You don't need complicated recipes. Just washing one and taking a crisp bite is enough. Sometimes, the most powerful solutions really are the simplest. Now, before I introduce the fourth food, let's pause again to reflect on something deeper. What we're really talking about here isn't just beans, oats, or apples. We're talking about creating a foundation for peace in your life. Sleep is where the body heals, where the mind clears, and where the spirit regains strength. Each of these foods is like laying a small stone in the path back to that peace. One by one, they build something strong enough to carry you forward. The fourth and final fiber-rich food I want you to know about is vegetables from the cruciferous family, things like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and cauliflower. These might not be everyone's favorite, but their benefits are enormous. Not only are they high in fiber, but they also contain compounds that support detoxification and reduce inflammation in the body. And when inflammation is lower, the bladder and kidneys function more calmly. That means fewer nighttime interruptions. One man I recall, Daniel, was skeptical about vegetables. He admitted he'd never been a fan. But after gently working broccoli and cauliflower into his dinners, steamed, roasted, or tucked into casseroles, he was surprised to find that his nights were less restless. His wife told me she noticed he even started smiling more in the mornings. Sometimes, it's not just about the science, it's about the ripple effect. When you sleep better, you live better. Your relationships, your hobbies, even your sense of humor all begin to shine through again. Now, if you're listening to this and thinking, "I don't know if I can eat all of these foods every day," don't worry. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. Even choosing one or two of these foods to start with can begin to create positive change. Over time, you'll find a rhythm that works for you. The important part is to begin, to give your body the chance to show you what it can do with the right support. As we bring this conversation to a close, I want you to take a step back and see the bigger picture. Beans, oats, apples, and cruciferous vegetables, at first glance, they may seem ordinary. But together, they create a quiet harmony in your body. They steady your blood sugar, keep your digestion moving, reduce pressure on your bladder, and calm inflammation. Each of these small shifts adds up to something larger: more peaceful nights, brighter mornings, and the return of energy you thought might be gone forever. But even more than that, these foods represent something deeper. They're a reminder that your health isn't out of your hands. Even in the later chapters of life, even when you've carried years of habits or struggles, you can still make choices that bring relief and restore your sense of control. You don't need expensive supplements or complicated regimens. You don't need to live in frustration with your body. Sometimes, all it takes is turning back to the simplest gifts of nature and allowing them to do their quiet work. I've heard so many people tell me, I wish I had known this sooner. But I always remind them, it's never too late. Whether you're 60, 70, or beyond, your body is still capable of healing, adjusting, and finding balance. Each meal you eat is a fresh beginning. Each choice you make to nourish yourself is a message to your body that says, I still care. I still believe in you. And believe me, your body listens. So tonight, when you sit down to dinner, or tomorrow morning when you prepare your breakfast, I encourage you to add one of these fiber-rich foods to your plate. Try a bowl of oatmeal with blueberries, a crisp apple in the afternoon, a hearty bean stew, or a serving of roasted broccoli with garlic. Taste it slowly, enjoy it fully, and know that you're not just eating, you're investing in your sleep, your peace, and your future. If this conversation has sparked hope for you, consider sharing it with someone you love. You never know who else is quietly struggling with the same nightly challenges. Sometimes a single piece of advice, passed along with care, can ripple out into many lives. And if you'd like to keep learning gentle, natural ways to support your health, I invite you to stay connected with us here. This space is for you, a place of encouragement, understanding, and practical wisdom. Remember this, peaceful nights are not behind you. They are still within reach. And with each nourishing choice, you are taking one step closer to reclaiming them. So eat well, rest deeply, and trust in the quiet power of small, steady changes. Your nights can be yours again.